Currency is something which brings a community's economy together, allowing for a standardized system of trade. Much like our galaxy has different currencies from one region to another, different worlds and civilizations in the galaxy far, far away have their own forms of money, and in this video I'll break down all of them. So smash that subscribe button, join the Star Force 1 Discord in the link and pinned comment down below, and let's get into it. Number 1. The Galactic Credit. This was the most widely used currency in Star Wars, and this was the galaxy-wide standard currency throughout the Galactic Republic, Galactic Empire, and New Republic. Although they were generally accepted everywhere, there were some exceptions, especially those worlds where the Republic lacked control, such as Tatooine. There it was deemed a worthless currency and traders wanted valuable or consumable goods in exchange for what they were trading. Number 2. Gold. Much like in real life, this was a metal with various usages. Not only was it acceptable as a form of good itself, being able to be turned into jewelry or other physical items like wires, it could also be used to form other currencies, with one of those being number 3. The Wupiupi. This was a currency used exclusively by planets under the control of the Hutts. It was made of gold, worth just under a credit per piece, and it took 16 of these to form the next currency, number 4, Trugut. This was a golden currency which existed only to simplify trade for citizens, allowing them to trade the value of 16 Wupiupis in a single coin, rather than needing to carry around many coins to buy simple items. Each Trugut was worth around 10 galactic credits, and it took 4 of them to form the next currency, number 5, the Pegat. Again, made to simplify trade, this Huttese currency was constructed of gold and was worth around 40 galactic credits, but the value fluctuated intensely. Number 6, Dathomiri spider silk. Very little is known about this, but it was gathered from spiders on Dathomir and could be used to form fabric, as well as used as a form of currency. Number 7, the credit coin. A subset of galactic credit, these were coins which carried various values, with the notable ones being worth 5, 10, 20, 100, 200, 500, 1000, 2000, and even 5000 credits. Number 8, the Kuruska gem. These were a very hard to come across gem, which was sometimes traded in as a currency. After that is number 9, the meat lump. This was a form of currency used by the meat lump gang on Corellia, and it had the face of the gang's leader and contained text saying, "In meat lump we trust." Number 10, Nova crystals. These were an incredibly rare crystal which, according to Ezra Bridger, was so valuable that even just one of them could set him up for life. Number 11, calamari flan. This disc-shaped coin, coming in both blue and white variants, was primarily used by the calamari, and also for bounty hunting, which we saw in The Mandalorian. Number 12, the Novian ruby. A very rare gemstone, these were used by the Zorbian space pirates and not much else is known about them. Number 13, Alliance Credit. A super niche currency, Alliance Credit was used by members and sympathizers of the Rebel Alliance. On the black market, the exchange rate was 1 Imperial credit for every 25 Alliance credits. Number 14, Imperial Credit. Not to be confused with the Imperial Credit employed by the Galactic Empire, these Imperial Credits were used by the Sith Empire in the days of the Old Republic. Number 15, Imperial Cash Voucher. As if the previous currency wasn't confusing enough, this brings us back to the days of the Galactic Empire. Although very little is known about these, they were presumably some kind of Star Wars edition of checks. Number 16, Jabba's marker. Although not primarily used as currency and was instead used to signify that somebody was under the employment of Jabba the Hutt, it was made of gold and showed the wealth of the Hutt clan and could be traded in for money. Number 17, the Kaltonian Fiskin. This was an extremely rare coin minted in the days of the Old Republic, and in the days of the Galactic Empire it could be found only by the most devoted coin collectors. Number 18, Messark. This was a largely unknown currency used on the planet Aragu. Number 19, Pay Voucher. These were basically the Star Wars version of checks, but they were only used by major employers. Number 20, Military Scrip. This was a currency issued exclusively to members of the Imperial Army, although it was recognized on every planet owned by the Galactic Empire. Number 21, Silver. Much like gold, this was a metal which could be used to form jewelry and equipment. Number 22, the Woofer leather. Resembling the formation of currencies in the early stages of our history as humans, Woofer leather was gained by skinned Woofer worms and was used by Night Sisters of Dathomir as a commodity in trade due to its varied uses. Number 23, Zukel. This was an old currency used in Jeddah at the time of the High Republic, composed of both gold and bronze. Number 24, the banknote. This one is extremely self-explanatory. It was a very generic currency dependent on a central bank to manage it. Number 25, the Parat, the official currency of the Kartan people from the planet Adumar. These held carved images of the ruling monarch on them. Number 26, the Jeddah knot. These were an incredibly old currency exclusive to Jeddah, which was sometimes donated to Chirrut Imwe alongside Imperial credits. Number 27, the credit ingot. A very common physical form of credits, these small silver and gold bars were widely recognized and accepted. Platinum. This was a very valuable metal used largely for the creation of rings. Number 29, Sorokan credit. This was a currency used only on the planet Sirocco. Number 30, Pez. 4 centuries before the Battle of Yavin, this currency was noted to have been in use on the planet Enroa. Number 31, Decicred. Composing a tenth of a Galactic Republic credit, These were also known as dimes. Number 32, the voucher chip. These were basic promissory notes and could be exchanged for credits anywhere you go. Number 33, the synth stone. Composing most of the stunning white architecture on Alderaan, this was also used as a form of currency by Cestus Cybernetics. Number 34, Univer. Mostly mysterious and unknown, this currency was used in the unknown regions and was used for ransom in the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy. Number 35, drinking chit. This was a voucher which could be used to purchase drinks at bars and clubs. Number 36, the Felucia mission token. These were limited edition tokens given to members of the Grand Army of the Republic who took part in the Third Battle of Felucia. At a later date, it was used as a currency by vendor droids on the planet. Number 37, Zamid. Although their value as an isolated currency is unknown, these could be melted down and thus were traded under a universal understanding of their metal's value. Number 38, the credit card. These were cards which had a balance of credits on them, allowing for easy everyday usage. Number 39, Fire Node. This was an incredibly rare and valuable ruby red color which appeared to glow like fire when held in light. Number 40, the CSA corporate script. A currency limited in use by the Corporate Sector Authority and its members, the corporate script was a very obscure currency not used by very many, the bearer card. This was a very old currency with the only recorded use being in the days of the Old Republic. Number 42, the credit chip. These were a type of credit which allowed for easy to carry denominations of credits of all kinds. Number 43, the credit chit. Yes, these are essentially the same as the credit chip, but this is a credit chit. This was essentially a small scale version of the credit chip, but with a smaller set of denominations, and it was due to this that they were never very popular. Number 44, the Tatooine Spira. The ancient currency of Black Spire Outpost was a hexagonal chip featuring a dull yellow or silverish metal with the word Spira, the letters BSO, and a distinctive Aurebesh symbol on its side. Number 45, the Crystalline Vertex. A precious mineral extracted from the planet Kia. These served as a valuable currency within the Corporate Sector Authority. Number 46, the Letter of Resources. In the New Republic, letters of resources served as an alternative currency to credits, printed on durable plastic, but their value was not universally recognized. Number 47, Priorite. A very precious mineral, this was used as a form of currency in a trader's store on the planet Koba. Number 48, the Credit Cube. These were very small, shiny cubes capable of storing a range of credits. Number 49, the Glow Pearl. Held as a currency in the corporate sector, this was an uncommon gemstone which was used for interior design. Number 50, Credit Sold. Similar to how we use credit cards, these were devices used to carry around and perform different kinds of transactions. However, there was a variant which allowed for untraceable transactions which were deployed on top secret missions. Number 51, the Drugut. Largely mysterious, this was a currency which was once used on Utapau, though we can't be sure that its acceptance was limited to there alone. Number 52, the Rautiri Colonial. Thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin, these were used during the Mandalorian Wars on the planet Rautir. Number 53, Drit. Almost nothing is known about this currency except that it was used on the planet Delalt around the time of the Battle of Yavin. Number 54, Credit Taken. Used on backwater planets, these were made of plastic and were easy to forge and make false copies of. Number 55, Credcoin. These were simply credits in the form of small coins. Number 56, Drullish Crown. These were a unique currency used on the planet Drull. Number 57, Qasim. This was a currency used on the planet Radnor. Number 58, Interstellar Credit. This was a currency used across the galaxy prior to the establishment of the Galactic Credit standard. Number 59, Ore. This was a currency used across the galaxy, although it was far from commonly employed. Number 60, Chromium. This was extremely valuable, and it was a material which was used across the galaxy for its highest level pieces of art. It was notably used on Padme Amidala's starship, as well as Captain Phasma's armor. It was also used as a form of currency in the Anawat sector. Number 61, the Cavern Bill. A currency used solely on Cato Nemoidia, it was already considered obsolete and ancient 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, so it's unlikely that even a single one survived. Number 62, the Ordmari Cred Coin. These coins, consisting of round metal discs, were used on the planet Adamar. Number 63, the Coruscant Mission Token. These were distributed to individuals supporting the Jedi within the Jedi Temple and aiding the Galactic Republic, and were treated as a currency by some vendor droids. Number 64, Keshul. The main currency on the mining colonies on Tynes Hawkey. Their value was determined by the Keshul Standard, a scarce mineral native to Tynes Hawkey. Yeah, that's a horrible name. Number 65, Land and Sky Currency. This was the official currency of the Akash system. Number 66, great number right there, is the Authority Cash Voucher. These were another form of currency used by the Corporate Sector Authority. Number 67, Interchip. These were basically devices which transported and deducted credits from one's account, sending that money to the account of a store or corporation. Number 68, Canto Coin. These were one of the currencies used to play games in Canto Bites Casino, which we saw in The Last Jedi. Number 69, Corellian Credit. These were a form of credit solely used on Corellia. Not much else is known. That brings us to the big number 70, the Kuat commemorative coin. This was a special edition coin on the planet Kuat to celebrate the achievements of an important company, which was the Kuat Drive Yards. Number 71, CIS Credit. Created and maintained by the Intergalactic Banking Clan, these were used on worlds under the banner of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Number 72, Aurodium. An extremely valuable and hard to come by metal, this was used for various things, including the partial construction of Darth Sidious's lightsaber. And it was also used as a form of currency in the lawless places of the galaxy like the Outer Rim territories. Number 73, Ithorian currency. This was a currency used on the planet Ithor sometime before the Yuuzhan Vong War, and the currency lost all of its value after the destruction of its world. I really hope you enjoyed that every single currency video. Join the Discord in the description and pinned comment down below if you haven't. Leave a like and subscribe, as there's going to be plenty more economic content coming out from the Star Wars galaxy. This is now a Star Wars economy channel, so hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.